I would like to welcome Tommi. Tommi is already here on video. Tommi will talk about AI-generated customer insights, really using the voice of the customer to steer to steer an iterative development process. So very excited to hear about that, which is actually a product that can already directly be used by everyone. So
thank you very much, and thank you very much, Tim. It was great presentation, really interesting, touching similar topics what we are also touching a lot, and we have been discussing also earlier. It's interesting to tackle the same kind of technical problems, also to bring this kind of let's say value by the AI to the users. So we are in the same field there. Now we are kind of in the steps where, if you would utilize the approach what Tim was saying, to actually have or utilize the AI to gather the data and good quality data, and then analyze the data to actually build the product in the correct way, for example, in this use case. So now we're in a stage where you practically have the product out, and it is already used by lots of people. So utilizing the AI in this example, so we are practically utilizing the capabilities of AI to have a product with lots of customers, lots of users utilizing it, and ideally also lots of conversations with the customers and feedback and emails, and still be able to run the product with all these massive data amounts to the correct directions as the customers are asking for it. So this is the kind of the topic of next roughly 20 minutes. So I will walk through, let's see the slides changing there. I have a video, so there's a little lag there, but hopefully it will be good enough to walk it through. So today I will talk a little bit about the voice of customers and what kind of area of or what kind of voice of customers we are trying to tackle with our approach, where to get the data. So the kind of the discussion what we had also earlier with the team is that the data is something what you need to have to actually get the insights, and in this case we want to get the insights for our software development in real time. So this is something what you want to touch base. And then about the insights, you know, that how and what kind of insights you want to do. I will have one case study. I will actually have a demo before the case study, just to kind of get the heads around that, okay, what this could be in my case, for myself, and then some summary in the end. So first, the voice of customer itself. So ideally, we all know we all want to be super customer centric, and I'm sure we are. I mean, the software product managers, I've been also running a product management almost 20 years, where the first 15 years were more focused on the product which has hardware and software. And I mean, we want to be in front of the customers and understand them. The voice of customer is the way how your customers is talking about you and your brand and the experience, how they're experiencing your product. So this is something what we want to know. In the background in the slides, I recognize it. You might not be able to see it so clearly, but there's a word map there. And with my first 15 years, I mean, it was back in the times when people were also traveling. So I was able to have a discussions maybe to hundreds of or thousands of users of my product and get a good understanding worldwide what are their needs and so on. But it took me 15 years to cover maybe 50 countries. So and nowadays we are not moving anywhere. However, in your case, most of the time, software products are also somewhat online products. So you actually have access to your customers. So now the voice of customer, there's two different levels what I want to emphasize. So if you look in the left-hand side, so I mean, you have the structured data, and this also equivalent customer voice. The numerical data, you get the quantitative numbers like customer satisfaction number or net promoter score or customer efficiency number or some kind of a number to kind of get the feel of your customers. And that's many times used, especially when your service or your product, for example, if it would be some kind of a digital service, or you might have an app or something like that, and you have so many users there that you just want to know that, okay, how do they experience my product? And numerical data is really easy for that one. Well, then if you stay here in the left-hand side, then we talk about unstructured data, where we are focusing on kind of qualitative understanding of the customers, of the whys, and this is something what we want to focus today. So why the certain number goes in certain directions, and what are the issues you actually want to improve, and how you want to improve. So you get this kind of qualitative understanding. We are the true customer narrative. So this kind of a true voice of customers, because ideally this is the information, as you were seeing in the Teams example, in the interviews, the people talking with their own wording about the issues. And now if you leave them a good way to do that, so you will actually get the wisdom from your customers with this kind of a qualitative information. And when you have a massive amount of that data, that gives you advantage against the markets. Now, the same one more time in the example. So here we have this is a Slack example, but this is the NPS. So how likely you are to recommend your product to your friend or colleague. So you get the numeric data, but then the results what you get is a number as well. So you might know that, okay, this is a 15, and okay, in the industry it is actually a 10 or -5. So you can kind of mark yourself, and also you would know that if it's suddenly going to 17 or dropping down for 10, so then the next question is that, okay, why it's doing that? So what I'm doing wrong? That's something what the number doesn't tell at all. So that's why it's very common nowadays that when you are actually, this is a survey example. So if you're surveying data, so you would have the numeric data, but you will also have this open question. And the more open it is, the better it is, because then you will not ask from your own side, but actually from the user's point of view. So for example, what was your experience of doing your business with our product? So what was your experience in Slack case, maybe communicating with the team with the Slack? And then they will answer what was their experience. And now you are getting the results, which many times you are not you're maybe just reading them if you don't have a system. Now we're going for the tool and how the AI is helping you actually get the results, where you actually get the real themes. Okay, what are the main themes people are talking, especially if you have thousands of answers, and what issues and how do they talk about it, negatively, positively, which kind of topics are related to each other, and you will be able to find out much more information, which are actionable information, and which actually tells you the root causes and the issues what you should fix. And this is now the topic we are kind of expressing today, and kind of wanting you to touch base. So the customer conversations, the data itself. So this is something what you, in our cases, you mostly have already. So the problem situation is that you normally have it just too much. But the data itself, it doesn't need to be a specifically surveys or questions or interviews to your customers, but actually it could be the data what you already have. It could be the feedback. Ideally, you have it in your product already. If you don't, you should think about it that, okay, if they're using it, maybe that's the best place to also leave the feedback or comments directly from your product. That's something to think about it as a one action from this discussion. It could be the survey responses. So you might have send the surveys there. If you have let's say 10 to 50 to 100,000 users in your tool, so you might have thousands of feedbacks every single month. You might have a survey responses of tens of thousands, but you also have this customer super data, most likely emails in a software world. So lots of emails and chat messages to your customer support. And this data includes a lots of information already. And you might have some phone calls as well, so depending on your services. Now, this data is the conversation and the information what your customers are providing for you to improve the service and improve your product and the experience of using the product and everything around it. And how to utilize that to the wisdom is to, if you would automatically get from that information all the time as a product manager, I would know that, okay, these are the top issues what people talk when they contact our support. and this is the experience. How do they experience it with their own wording? And once again, kind of top issues they experience about it. There seems to be quite a lack there, because when I'm using the video, I hope the voice is going through nicely, at least. Some mysterious changing the slides.
Yeah, the audio is totally good.
Okay.
But this one has a delay. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's a delay a little bit. Anyways, we try to manage with that one. So this wisdom is really to understanding out of that data and let's say understanding not only like independent issues here and there, but actually in real time, especially if you have a product where you have lots of feedback coming through. So it's not enough that you know the situation once a year to do your kind of a yearly review, but you actually know it, need to know it in real time. So then how to get the insights from the massive voice of customer data, what we discussed earlier. So first of all, I mean, utilize the data you already have. This is number one. I mean, you might have, for example, in your customer care, you might have lots of the information already coming to your from your customers all the time. That is very valuable information, not really focusing on the kind of problematic sides and need bases. But if you want to reduce that, you know how valuable in money-wise that would be if you could know that, okay, these are the top issues I need to fix to reduce the amount of connection to the support and increase the let's say the people's happiness to your product. And then improve the open question utilization. I will point out that later with our one case study. They provided quite interesting fact about how they earlier were utilizing the open feedback forms and how they're utilizing it right now. But this is important that you would actually have the open question instead of just a numerical data, because the wisdom is there in their experience and the numbers doesn't tell it you. And once you have this one, so the third part, so utilizing the AI run analytics to actually have this qualitative data analyzed in a qualitative way, so you have a meanings and all that information, but also because it could kind of get back to you with the numbers. So you would find out that which is the top amount, how many times this certain issue is coming up in the discussions and so on. So it becomes a numbers and nice top 10 5 lists to actually react to the correct issues, which are the most important ones. And that what it gives you is that you don't need to do any kind of manual inputs or tagging. You don't need to have any kind of limits of data. So if you have 1,000 replies, so you don't need to read them. It's unbiased in a way, because if you read it, you'll start looking certain similar things, patterns there. But actually, the data-driven analytics will just show it what is actually relevant in all over the data. And then when you utilize that data and these learnings, so we are still doing the kind of insights, but we practically, you will see the relevance of that together with the metadata. So all the quantitative data. So you might have a certain kind of a user groups, free users, for example. So you know that if what they are saying is not so important as the enterprise users, for example, money-wise. So you have to naturally utilize that knowledge and the customer voice based on the different customer segment, for example. But then what I will show in our example is that the deeper the insight is not only to see the top level information and theming, but actually being able to drill down to the root cause to find out that if there is one similar root cause, what most of the people are experiencing, and fixing that root cause, you will get the biggest results among your user base. So before the demo, short demo, so just a couple of use cases, and these are just a screenshot from the aiwo.ai solution, which is a SaaS solution. What I will show briefly is first thing, just a repetition a little bit, but you will understand the customer experience. You will know the top issues, what you need to fix, all of that from unstructured data. You can react to abnormalities in real time. So which are the let's say arising small topics which are raising from the people's opinions, and you can react to them, especially if they're negative side, as quick as possible before they become to be a mainstream of people experience. and then you can follow the impact of the changes. So if you fix some bugs, or you fix some changes, or you change a little bit about your software front end, for example, so you will be able to see that, okay, now this feedback is gone, so we actually get rid of that, and people are now giving more positive feedback for certain kind of a usage of your product. So this is something, and I will just very quickly go through, so you have a little bit of idea of how does this could be relevant to your product. Naturally, now you have to kind of switch your mind of thinking of, okay, what my customers would talk about. But I will just jump on the front end, and this is just a hotel review example. So assume the hotels here would be your product, and people are writing, for example, let's say reviews or feedback to your product. But the data could be anything. It could be phone calls or emails or chat data or the feedback data for your queries and so on. Anyway, so what you would see is that automatically, so you just dump the data there, you select certain time frame. There's a very little data here, so there's a big time frame. There's like 180 days. This is open data, what people can use for their freely. So you will see that which are the main topic what people are talking. Which is the narrative, the sentiment they talk about certain topics. For example, in here, generally, they talk mostly about customer experience issues when they send the reviews. And it's mostly actually positive and quite lots of neutral discussion, but very little negative discussions. You can see that how the certain topic theme, as we call it, is evolving over the time. There's a little bit less of messages than earlier. So this is the holistic overview of what is in their people's minds. So this is directly what you can read here with your own product from the customer's own voicing and theming what they are using when describing about their experience or feelings. So you see the overview of the data of the people's mind in this overview first page here. You can see the sentiment, how things are evolving. You can see the impact factor. So practically here, the AI and the NLP technologies, what we utilize is, first of all, it's finding and understanding the discussions, putting the teams together which are relevant with the amount of how many times certain discussions are seen among all of the data. And it's also analyzing the sentiment people talk about the different themes. So there is this kind of a common continuously learning, self-learning mechanism to understand of how people talk about the certain things. And then it will provide you the understanding that which are the negative issues people talk, which are the positive issues people talk, and how many they talks about the specific negative or positive issues. And then the changes, so those changes in the situation compared to the previous or for any given time, which is important, and trending, which is important to react according to the market needs. For example, you might have some kind of a software which is maybe a commonly used, and people start maybe giving a note and maybe asking some kind of a new features they have learned about, and if this is raising up, so you know that, hey, there's already a small group of looking this kind of a thing and a feature maybe, and you can react right away. So this is the high level view, and the kind of capabilities. And once again, you just need to have the data, and then you have the model what will learn all automatically. So once there's a new data coming, and if there's a new theme arising, it will pop up automatically here. But then you can go into the deeper for any given specific theme to find the root cause. So you can, first of all, you can look like a higher level hierarchical data, for example, the customer experience. What is the customer experience discussions about? Where the biggest discussion is about satisfaction, then people talk about families, comfortables, and in each of the cases, they also are, when they talk about families, so what kind of issues they talk, and in what kind of a let's say sentiment. So like in a family discussions, there's lots of neutral, a little bit negative neutral side about the rooms and nights and birthdays, maybe some issues. In the comfortables, people talk together with the room positively. So different themes are discussed relatedly differently So this is the kind of short, quick insights you can get from the data. And then from any given specific theme which is relevant enough, so and it's popping up into the analytics, so you can then go for the details. So you can then kind of go to the next level, let's say for the luxury discussion. So how people talk about luxury in the hotel. So you can go deeper on this data and see that, okay, how much data there is. There's a little bit less of talk of luxury, which is a kind of an interesting theme. Maybe it makes sense in the hotel business. And then you can kind of see the data also based on the rooms or something like that. And kind of now I'm selecting the discussion which discuss about the luxurious things and the rooms. And I'm able to see that, okay, what is the points they are saying? What is the kind of negatives discussions about that? Which are the neutral comments about the rooms? And I'm just seeing directly the area they talk about the rooms and luxurious things, and I can of course see the complete messages as well. So I have the data and the root cause also available, but I'm getting very quickly with a couple of clicks kind of the main points, neutral, positive, and negative discussions about the topics I'm interested, because this seems to be relevant for your business and your product to maybe improve it. And naturally, all of the data, well, I'm just showing now this example quickly, but all of the data is something what is makes sense to also see based on any metadata. So you might have naturally maybe the place you're asking the questions or some kind of a NPS or scores and so on. So any data can be seen against this kind of a metadata as well. So this is the way how far the AI is right now. If you have these open discussions with your customers, and you want to actually get out of that fully automatic insights, so that's where you can get right now. So that's how far we are right now on that topic. And then there's I promise one case study. As you have maybe noticed already, so I mean, and we earlier had a discussion. So in the software side, so we have mostly B2C companies in our business, and then really large B2B software products as well. This MTV case, this is in Scandinavian TV, where we are working together with them. Their focus is in the digital video service platform, and Jan Rosnell, who is saying so it's he's exactly stating this, that it's amazing how aiwo turns to something that it was earlier considered as a cost factor and something that is actually valuable for us. So he openly said that in an interview, which is in the internet, that they were having these digital services. They actually had this open feedback form right there, but it was so much data coming in that it just takes too much time to read all of them through. So they kind of hide it in the really hard place to leave the feedback. And because it was just too much work to actually read them all through, and they wanted to do that. Now what has changed is that they say that this is actually the main source of wisdom and how they're improving their product. And they have a lot, naturally, also this CX score, and they can because they have millions of users, so they can really calculate what does it mean to improve the CX score, customer experience score of their digital service. So now, with this changes, what we were able to do, so they found out that now because we are granting this open feedback constantly, so they actually are utilizing that and finding the whys behind the numbers. One case, what was their example finding was that they found out that suddenly the CX score is going down and utilization is going down in the desktop users, but they have no idea why. It's the same service all around. And then it was very beginning of when we were using the tool. And then the main negative theme what pop-ups by selecting the desktop users was this kind of autoplay. People were saying that I hate this automatically starting videos and all that. And it numerically, it just was so big that they need to dig deeper. It was very clearly one kind of a root cause there. And it was their main idea that, hey, let's start playing those videos automatically so they can play more advertisement, more videos, and people get hooked and so on. People actually hate them and remove or jump out from the site altogether. And this was then they were able to do it. The A/B testing. They found out, yes, when they remove it, there's a huge jump on it, and actually these kind of a small changes from their earlier brilliant ideas of improving the business, when removing them based on the customer experience feedback. So they have done these kind of a changes and have hundreds of thousands of profit improvement because of those, and they can count it, so it's easy for them. So this is a kind of a nice issue, nice case study for us, of course, as well. But everybody knows how important the customer experience is, especially in the business where people are fighting against the Hulus and Netflixes and so on. So it's extremely important. Not only kind of the digital customer experience where we are not touching, but actually the voice of customer feelings, what the people have, and reading the open data. All right. So the learnings are a little summary there. The value your customers, so practically that's the number one if you want to be customer centric, and I'm sure we are here, so we are, and that's why we are here to see that how I could steer my product more customer centrically. Also, when I have lots of open data, this is the topic here. One thing is you utilize the current source of wisdom what you already have. So this is something what, if you are doing that, if you're currently leaving this all information out by not using it in your product development, or you're just kind of hoping that this customer support is actually clicking the correct ticks and you have the numerical information of what to fix. So this might be something what you definitely want to utilize more. And then the open questions in the survey. So go for the unstructured data because wisdom is there. Even the structured data is super easy and you can see the numbers. But actually the real pain or also the positive issues are there in the open text. And then the utilization of this information, like this MTV case, they have every bi-weekly a very clear stop to look how things are evolving because they have done the changes. They always are very carefully checking and seeing. Of course, we provide also weekly and monthly email checks to which are the top issues to focus on. And they also have a monthly kind of a deeper check on the CX score and how the changes is improving for the money. Well, this is very important that you have the process of continuously improving it based on the feedback you are getting. Otherwise, naturally, you won't have the return of investment. And then, well, be humble with the findings. It's interesting that sometimes, you just have to trust what the people say, especially when there's a data to back you up. So you might have a feeling that, okay, I knew that this is important, but now I knew that it's so important because it's maybe second biggest negative issue. So I just need to fix it. So that's something to do it. And then, of course, continuous improvement as what we also want to do. Well, this was my kind of a speech. Now we have I'm just, go there and explore what you could do and what the technology could do. We are also fully continuously improving and kind of this is our ambition to bring quite interesting new ways to understand the data so that it will be, let's say, more as actionable as possible. But I'm also happy to connect with all the product managers in LinkedIn. So please feel free to click connect there. I will remember that this after this webinar, I will have a chat there as well. Thank you very much, and throw the questions there in the chat window or in the coming Q&A session as well.